Ms. Knight, and welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Any other apologies? All right, apologies closed. Let me welcome members to the sitting as well as the staff here at Parliament and representatives from the different government agencies who are in attendance as well. I believe all agencies are with us virtually, and so welcome everyone. And I must say that, you know, I am very pleased where we are as a committee, because what we are doing here is really making history as a people, as a government, because for the first time in our history as an independent nation, we are at a point contemplating the creation of a parish, a new parish in Jamaica. Previous to this, the last time any such deliberations took place was in 1867, and it was under the colonial system where the 14 parishes that now exist were created. And I believe that Jamaica has grown over the years. We have developed as a nation, as an independent nation, and our population has changed in terms of the dynamics and also, more important, the number of persons residing in a particular locality. And so I believe, members, that the work that we have done so far is game-changing. Game-changing work so far. The comments that we have gotten, the submissions that we have gotten, the presentations from the different entities that made their presentations, whether in person or written submissions, I believe shed some amount of light as to where we are and how we can facilitate if this decision is for us to move forward with the creation of the 15th Parish. Notwithstanding the fact that it was a commitment made over a decade ago, the reality is that based on the dynamics of the area that is known as Portmore, the population size, and its own uniqueness, I believe personally that it will warrant some serious consideration. And so, members, we are at that juncture where this afternoon, well, this morning, we will look at the matrix, which more or less is a compilation of the different submissions that we got, and make a decision as to how we proceed. I must note that, members, we gave a commitment that we would have at least 2 town hall meetings, and that is something that I am holding this committee to, that we have further dialogue. I believe that we really encourage that level of consultation, because we got quite a number of submissions from persons living and groups within the Portmore area, and we really welcome that level of participation. But, members, before we go any further, let us go through the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on June 30th.
Chairman, just before you proceed to the minutes, just a bit of clarification. This meeting, is it an hybrid of in-person and
It is
virtual?
it's an hybrid, yes.
I asked because I'm seeing the submissions being made virtually. In the case of last week, we did decide at the last meeting that the ministry could submit virtually too, in light of the points raised in the discussion. But in the circular that came out, it says an in-person meeting. So I was a bit, and I never was of the opinion that could participate virtually, but that it was a required in-person meeting. So,
but the members, the members of the committee, let me look at the circular. Was it specific to?
Mr. Chairman,
God knows. Yes.
I understand what Member Jackson is saying, but the way I interpreted it is when it said God knows, I interpreted it that it would be based here, the chairman would be here, and people could choose either way. That's how I interpreted it being at Garden House versus all virtual Because if we're allowed to have a hybrid, I don't think it has to be stated in each meeting that the meeting is going to be hybrid. It's a facility which we can choose to use or not, given that it has already been approved that we can.
Chairman, this is not a contentious issue. For my part, I wasn't aware that that option was available. I read it when it says at Gordon House rather than other circulars I received. So there will be a virtual meeting of the committee of such and such. For example, Electricity Act and others that are ZOZO, that is held virtually, and it has no reference to Gordon House. In fact, the chairmen of those committees chair it from their respective offices virtually, and everybody is virtual. So it's stated explicitly it's a virtual meeting.
Well, I understand your point, member, and in fact, it would need some level of clarity because the circular actually stated at Gordon House. So we would have expected most, if not, well, all persons, all members to attend in person. But again, a number of members opted to attend virtually, and as such, we had already passed in Parliament where we have that level of flexibility. I believe, though, that as we wind down the work of this committee, it would be good to have more persons attending in person, unless there is something, an emergency that would prevent or prohibit that person from attending. I think the next circular will be more explicit as to the form of attendance that will be allowed. Member Miller?
Yes, sir, Chair. I think you have stated what I want to say, but to add to that, I think at the time, Member Jackson was on leave of absence when it was actually... No, but that's where I'm getting to. The circular is hybrid, so persons can stay and persons can come inside. That's why Member Morris, Member Jackson.
Well, members, I think we will be more explicit. The next circular will be more explicit as to what type of attendance we would appreciate. You know, yeah, yes. That's right. That is right. All right, so the minutes of the last meeting of this committee, which was held on June 30th, is before us. Members, are there any corrections to this minutes? Correction, amendments, omission? Can I have a motion for us to accept the minutes? Moved by Member Campbell, seconded by Member Miller. Those in favor? Those against, ayes have it. Matters arising from the minutes? Matters arising from the minutes? No matters arising. I believe that the minutes accurately represented what transpired throughout the meeting last week. So commendation to the team here at Parliament for accurately capturing the sentiments of the meeting. Members, before us, in fact, we were given a copy of the matrix, and maybe there was some additional updating of it based on the presentation, last week's presentation by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And I do hope that we took some time to look at the matrix that is before us. Members, I must say that there were quite a number of questions asked by a number of persons, and I believe that to a great extent we were able to get some clarity as related to some of the questions and concerns raised by members of, well, general public. Members, I don't know if you would want to make any specific comment on the matrix. But I must say, though, what is important, though, is that I would want us to contemplate engaging the general Portmore public to, you know, whether in person or virtual meeting, town hall meeting, members.
Chairman.
Go ahead, Member Daly. Welcome.
Morning again. Morning, everyone. I am very concerned in respect to making sure that we engage the citizens of Portmore. I think it is time now. We have had many submissions from different entities, but we really and truly need to go to the people now for them to have better clarity and also to be on board with this venture. And I personally would want you, Chairman, and the committee for us to look now at dates, whether it is virtual, as you said, but if we can have some smaller meetings face-to-face to make sure that they understand exactly what it is, because some of them believe that it is going to create a new Portmore again. When I speak with them, and they really need not to have too much high expectation, and then at the end of the day, we are not able to deliver. So we need to get clarity on the ground and to get them to be more on board with us, that they can fully participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Daly, for that input. In fact, that is the reason why I have asked for us to move forward in Member Jackson and Member Miller. You both will be placed at the back of the room, you know. You know, you're on point, Member Dale, because that is the general view of the members of this committee, that we should engage the citizens of Portmore and to give them more insight, especially based on the submissions that we have gotten. You know, it will be good for us to put that out there. I think we need to also use whatever means as possible to get the information out there, and that is something that we will be looking into as well. But the town hall meeting, I think that is something that we will have to move forward with, members. In light of the current pandemic, though, we will have to ensure that we comply with the Disaster Risk Management Act as well. So that it will have to be a very controlled setting. Or we move forward in having that town hall meeting. But technology is at our hand, so we can, you know, utilize it as much as possible to get as much persons engaged and involved in the process. Members, any other comment on the matrix before us? Member Jackson, you don't have to comment, man. Okay. you know, Member Jackson is my member of parliament, you know. Member Jackson is my member of parliament, you know.
On the matrix, I wanted to find out from you the modus operandi going forward subsequent to the matrix being now submitted, which would be of all the submissions that have been before the committee so far. So if you could just indicate how you propose for us to proceed. I heard you made the suggestion, which I give full support to, and my colleague from Eastern St. Catherine also added her voice of strong support for that recommendation you made to engage the residents in town hall meeting. I so enjoyed that recommendation. So what next? What do we do? What is proposed to be done? And as my colleague next door, Southeast St. Catherine, indicated, I haven't been out on a leave of absence in previous meetings. I don't know what decisions, not clear. So your guidance will be useful here.
members of the committee, you heard the point raised by Member Jackson.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I also want to lend my support to the idea of having consultations. However, I must also ask for us to think how we will do it in terms of numbers and the COVID restrictions. How do we limit the numbers physically? Because that must be done. What you don't want is a situation where a large number of persons come out and they have to be turned back, and it could be misinterpreted. So I think we do need to put in place mechanisms to keep the numbers in check.
I will definitely have to look at that, member, Ken Rodriguez. But let us go through the matrix as it.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, member.
Good morning. I think that what we have to look at is the possibility of having a similar hybrid town hall meeting where you have some individuals in a confined space and allow for individuals from Portmore to participate virtually. But what it means, Mr. Chairman, is that you will probably have to have more than 2 of those meetings in light of the size of the populace in Portmore. So I think we should look at the possibility of a hybrid meeting.
Noted, member. We will we'll have to take a decision on that matter. But members, let us go through the submissions here in this matrix. You know, there are certain questions asked or comments. So let us just look at these comments. So the first one was the Portmore Leadership Council. They asked questions such as expectation of converting Portmore into a parish, what benefit parish status will guarantee us.
Chairman, on a point of order, I asked a question earlier on because if I understand you correctly, you are looking at 2 sets of submissions. One that have come before the Parliament here, which is contained in this document, the spreadsheet, the matrix. And we have agreed to then consider another set, which is coming from the engagements which you spoke of, right? By the meetings, etc. Out of those meetings, I expect a distillation of suggestions, what have you, right? Kind of similar to this, except that would have taken place from out there. And then they're all taken together, because what I'm looking at here is literally what the clerk of this committee has done, is to really distill all the submissions that we have gotten. So it is here. If we go through it, now we're going through what we have already gotten. What we have to now decide on is what out of all the submissions we are going to have contained in a report to go before Parliament. So if we go through this, we're going through what we have already gotten. She have only put this together for our convenience. So this is all that came to us for you to look at, and then we'll decide which one we'll embrace, which one we'll not embrace in the report that will go before Parliament. So I really having a challenge in us going through this, which we have already gotten from the presentation, and as I said, it's merely a distillation that she has given us for our convenience. That we don't have to read through all of those submissions that were made. We can just go through the matrix.
Point taken, member. But I believe, though, we can go through some of these submissions as well. And, of course, take the other comments if they differ from what we have here, once we have gotten those comments via the consultation. We would not go through the submissions. Yeah, but we would not go through them again in terms of assessing them.
I'm taking it, Chairman, that we are taking the submissions here together and those that are to come will be taken together, right? It's not one set. We take them and then we go and take another set. We're taking them together to then compile a final report that will go to the House.
Sir Chair, I can appreciate what my colleague is saying, Member Jackson. However, the fact that we're here now and, time is of essence, we have before us a matrix. It's just in good order, Sir Chair, that we actually go through this matrix, and then when we have the town hall meetings, then we can go through that in particular. So I would agree with what you're saying, Sir Chairman, for us to go through these matrix that we have before us.
Member Campbell, any comment, Member Campbell?
Chair, I think we should proceed to examine what we have before us, and then we'll deal with the other matters if and when they arise.
Well, Member, I'm in agreement because it doesn't hurt going through what we have before us. And I'm sure that the consultation will, of course, capture even most, if not all, of what we have before us, because the agencies of state, they have already stated, given us their opinion. For example, if you look at this matrix, quite a bit of concerns were raised as it relates to infrastructure, and the National Working Agency spoke to that very effectively. And it's a concern, it's a major concern. And I believe that, for example, infrastructure, that was already addressed. Autonomy was already addressed as well. So I think, members, we can just go through the matrix that's before us and see what we are willing to accept in the report, to put in the report for final compilation. So let us just look at it, members. For example, the first one was the Portmore Leadership Council. They were asking for clarity, generally clarity on the matter. They raised some concern as to infrastructure, basic amenities, and assets that will assure residents of the importance of parish status. What will be the boundary and acreage of Portmore as a parish? In fact, members, the designation of the boundary of Portmore lies with the Minister of Local Government. And so that is a decision that the Minister of Local Government will make once we complete the report and submit same to the Minister. Members, any comment on the first this first submission before us in the matrix?
If you can recall, Sir Chair, if I may, majority of the agencies that came in said that there is ongoing development, in Portmore. I'm making reference to the infrastructure and amenities, and without a shadow of a doubt, when Portmore becomes the 15th parish, the amenities and the infrastructure will be in place, and the agencies did disclose a short while ago when they came to the committee that it's an ongoing process, and especially the road work infrastructure, they are going to expand in short order, starting in short order. Some of the health centers will be upgraded. My colleague, Member Jackson Health Center in Greater Portmore will be upgraded as well. So the amenities will come in play. It will not be enough, truth to be told, but what I got from everyone is that basically it doesn't determine by the infrastructure for it to become a parish.
Okay. All right, thank you, Member.
Chairman, all these questions, I think, will be answered in the...
Put the member Campbell to your...
I'm sorry, Chair. All these questions which are posed will be answered in the final document which we propose to. But for instance, I see a question here. What guarantees will be given infrastructure, amenities, and assets that will assure residents of the importance of parish status? For one, the people of Portmore will decide how the revenue, the income from the different areas will be spent. Mm-hmm. At the moment, whatever revenue comes from Portmore is sent into the central pool, and then part of it goes to dealing with other parts of St. Catherine. It is not confined to the development of Portmore. So that's the one immediate benefit that I see. With all the residents there and with all the income flowing from the payments that they make for motor vehicles and all the other things, it will reside in Portmore, and the local community will have will make a decision as to what it is that they need to be developed, and I think that will be much better for them.
Member, I believe that during the persons were a bit confused or misled as to what parish status is all about. If you look at it, what guarantees will be given infrastructure, amenities, and assets that will assure residents of the importance of parish status? These things are independent of the status. I mean, infrastructure throughout this country, whether in a town or city or a parish, needs to be addressed and maintained. What is good is that based on the presentations that we got, especially from the National Work Agency, they answered the burning question of traffic congestion and how they plan to address that with limited funding. In fact, I believe we have seen already the upgrading of the road network to some extent in Portmore, and the fact that they are looking to upgrade the infrastructure even more, and at this time to ensure that the improvement in the infrastructure takes into consideration other support systems such as utilities, to ensure that it is planned in such a way that will prevent what we normally see happening in Portmore, throughout country, where you improve a road and then two days after the National Water Commission or some other utility come in and start to dig the road up again. So proper planning and ensuring that the road improvement can accommodate those utilities was a plus. We got that from the National Work Agency. Yes, Member Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Member. Member Terlan, go ahead.
All right. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Right. Just to follow up on all of that as well. I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but I think that the residents of Portmore, certainly from the consultation that I have had with them, the minute I've explained to them about the parochial revenue fund, and that the whole purpose of the parochial revenue fund, what it would mean for the development of Portmore when Portmore becomes a parish, they readily assess that information and they readily agree to the information. Because one of the things that we recognize about Portmore over the years is that Portmore is the most compliant part of Jamaica in terms of property tax payment and property tax collection. Now you're talking about the largest community of people. We like to say the largest dormitory style community in the Western Caribbean. So Portmore really is you're talking over 300,000 persons living in the Portmore area. You're talking about a property tax compliance rate of more than 95%. More than 95%. Now, at the end of each month, some 90% of the funds collected for property tax would go right back into the redevelopment of Portmore. Then you're talking about some I think it's about 66% of the funds collected from the licenses of motor vehicles as well. So these are the funds that will be used to ensure, when we speak about all the infrastructure and the maintenance of the relevant infrastructure to be put in, it's a benefit to the people of Portmore. And as stakeholders, it is our duty to explain to our constituents that, listen, this is not about politics. It is about making the lives of Portmore residents better.
Thank you very much, Member Terlang, for that contribution. Member Jackson.
Chairman, I probably can be helped. I heard my colleague here from the Senate.
So rather than having our pool to spread across the parish, will now stay in Portmore, which really deserves this kind of funding to increase the development for our hard-working Jamaicans who are paying their taxes and who live in Portmore, the 15th parish to be.
Thanks, Member Jackson. Member Terlang. Member Jackson.
Thanks, Chairman. I am listening to comments made about funding, revenues, and funding pertinent to the question you raised about infrastructure and so on. You were a former mayor, and you perhaps are more intimately involved, and my friend here, a former councillor, that in the current construct, the only revenues that the local authorities collect is one of property taxes and fees for various fees for like signs and license and so forth.
And also building fees,
and building
as
fees.
well as the
Right.
greater percentage of the property
Right.
tax.
That's the extent of the revenue under law that they can collect. And it's for that reason that the central government, through the Ministry of Local Government, and gets funding to operate the municipalities, support them, and the major infrastructural deficiencies in the country is undertaken from the central government, from the consolidated fund. So all the existing parishes are subject to that construct. So in the context of a new parish for Portmore, it will not bring with it any unique funding opportunity than what currently obtains for all other parishes in Jamaica. And my understanding even now is that the Portmore municipality, as a local governing entity, gets its share from the one that goes to the the term you use it, parochial fund. And in the construct of the parochial revenue fund, the Minister of Local Government has the authority to vary the allocation for parishes that have substantial deficiencies in their own revenue inflow. So that is what exists and what will obtain. It exists now, and it will obtain if Portmore should become another parish. So I'm just simply saying we must be mindful of what the overarching legal provisions are should Portmore become a parish, and what would automatically flow. That's point one. Point two, from what I have perused by some of the entities that have made presentations here, such as the Water Commission, the National Works Agency, and others, they spoke of infrastructural weaknesses or deficiencies, which obtains not only in Portmore, but other parts of Jamaica that do have parish status, and they suffer from those deficiencies. And they are seeking to remedy those through funding from the central government, because they acknowledge it. They acknowledge that they have the responsibility as central government authority. Even last week, last meeting, when we had the Ministry of, the last two meetings, we had the Ministry of Transport. They spoke about some of the infrastructural deficiency for transport, the transport hub, for example, in Portmore, and what is required. Now, that was contemplated and being pursued before any pursuit of a parish status, because those were outstanding requirements for a reasonable level of service to be provided, what the communities demand in transportation. And so National Works Center make the same point, NWC make the same point, and they are pursuing those and will continue to pursue those regardless of whatever status is attached to Portmore. So I raise that, Chairman, because when we say that, and I hear my good friend from Southeast St. Catherine made mention of infrastructure, of roads being repaired, like in anticipation of it being parish. Whether or not there's any parish designation for Portmore, those roads were being fixed, will be fixed. They have been fixed, some have been fixed in the past, some are being fixed now, and some will be fixed. I recall even a particular portion in my constituency in the Nagohead area into Bayside, where we lobbied to get that road upgrading. Why? Because of the increased traffic coming from the housing developments which are taking place, both in Elsha and in the Gortuka area. So the point I'm making in that regard, Chairman, as I wrap up the second point, is that we must be mindful of, one, the question asked, what the agencies that have presented to us have indicated, right, in terms of their capacities. And I dare say, none of us in this room have the authority nor the competence to offer any assurance about anything will be done. That will have to come from the central government. So in our deliberations, we will merely be raising these issues in our report for the full House to consider. And of course, as is the norm and the practice, the report, when acted upon by the full House, will go to the Cabinet. That is the executing arm of government, to then see where we go from there.
Mr. Chairman, may I just, for my own edification.
Hello?
I'm on the floor, Senator Morris.
Having the same difficulty as you, Senator Morris.
Okay. Morning, Shireen.
Morning. I've indicated to
Senator Morris, Senator Morris.
We've lost all sound coming from you. Again, Parliament, if you can hear us, we've lost all sound coming from your end.
I just put it in the chat, Minister.
Put in the chat? All right.
How are you?
All right.
They're working on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Question I have, Mr. Chairman, because Portmore becoming a parish is something that will affect the lives of the people in Portmore. But I don't think we should also not look at the dynamics within the parish councils. And as much as I was a former councillor, it was so long ago that the head not holding the information so good. How many, thank you, Member Jackson, how many council seats are in St. Catherine, Mr. Chairman? I don't know if you...
the parish of St. Catherine has 41.
In the parish of St. Catherine, it's 41.
And 41 divisions, and 12 of the 41 resides in Portmore.
And just to help me again here, as it is currently constituted, Mr. Chairman, how many, is there a breakdown? Do we know the breakdown of the Portmore municipality?
Yes, the Portmore municipality is 10-2. 2 GLP, 10 PMP.
And in St. Catherine?
The remaining 29?
Of the remaining 29, sir.
11 to 18.
11
JLP.
JLP and 18.
No, 18 JLP and 11 PNP.
No, but isn't the chair? Isn't the?
So members. So members.
I'm just trying to see.
So members, let me just tell you what it is right now. There are 41 councillors in St. Catherine, including those councillors in Portmore. As it is.
No, but Mr. Chairman, before you
I'm not hearing anything at all.
What
should happen is that we should just come out and rejoin.
Yeah, that's the same thing happening to MP Daly to Senator. So we're going to log off and rejoin. I think we should do that, yes.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to be done.
Right, I'm going to do that too.
Uh-huh.
All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, before you educate us, because this is an important part of our deliberation, because it might also get the wider public to understand the background of why certain positions are taken. So I just want to make sure from my own understanding, and I stand to be guided by yourself and the other persons in the chamber. We have 12 seats in Portmore, which now make up part of the 41.
I'm seeing where it's saying
correct.
So
29 are pure St. Catherine without Portmore.
We're going to log off and rejoin.
So, and 11 are JLP and 18 are PNP. So are we saying, am I understanding?
No, it's correct. No. It's 18 JLP.
18 JLP and 11 PNP. So, hold on, maybe I'm wrong, but that means, Mr. Chairman, if you take out the 10 from Portmore,
yes.
If you take out the 2 from Portmore, the JLP was left with 16.
No. Remember, allow me to explain.
Yes, please.
There are 41 divisions in the parish of St. Catherine.
No.
As it is right now. 12 divisions are in Portmore. So 12 of the 41 councillors sit in Portmore, the municipality of Portmore, along with a mayor, which is, the mayor is not a part of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation.
Correct.
But that mayor heads the Portmore Council.
Hello?
Right? So that mayor, along with the 12 councillors, are in charge of Portmore, municipality of Portmore. The remaining 29 councillors, along with the 12 in Portmore, because the 12 in Portmore also have to sit in the parish corporation, which is the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. Right? The current dynamic is that there are 21 PMP councillors sitting in the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, and there are 20 JLP members in that corporation.
I am seeing your message,
that member.
I'm not hearing.
Can they mute those people until it's sorted, please?
Those persons who are
online until it's sorted. Mute them. So that so Mr. Chairman, basically then what we're saying is, if Portmore is taken away, and this is all theoretical, because voting is fluid.
Senator Floyd, same thing for MP Daly, not hearing anything.
Can the technical team mute them in the meantime? Yes, so what we're saying then, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not hearing either.
Yes, same thing for MP Daly.
Mr. Can we ask them to mute them?
Let me just put a pause to the meeting. Can the technical team remove those persons who are online and allow them to rejoin us? All right, go ahead, Member Campbell.
Yes, so based on what you're explaining to me, Mr. Chairman, if it's a 21 for the PNP, 20 for the JLP, as it stands now, I used to teach math, but as I said earlier, sometimes the brain not as strong. If we take out the Portmore councillors, we would then end up with 11 PNP and 18 JLP. Am I counting that correct?
Correct number.
Okay. I just want to make sure we understand the context, because politics does influence a lot of things, Mr. Chairman. So I just wanted to have a context as to the political scenario and as to why sometimes conversations may be had. So same Catherine.
I'm going to protect Member Jackson.
No, I didn't call any names, sir. I am just saying we should make sure that politics is not the reason we are robbing Portmore of this opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
I am with Member Campbell Rodriguez. Thank you for your clarification here, but I want to protect Member Jackson.
Not hearing, because I'm seeing the meeting going on. It sounds like it's going on. Seems like it's going on. All right, Chair. I see your pointing, so I guess you're hearing.
Members, I believe, though, that it is quite unfair, to be quite honest.
No, I'm not sure that he's hearing.
The councillors in Portmore, those 12 councillors, must sit by law. Must sit by law in the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. They have to attend general meetings, finance committee meeting, disaster planning committee meeting.
I remember, Mr. It's
by
hard.
Law.
Yes, sir.
So they are
doubling up,
but
getting the same salary.
But it's not about the salary. I believe that we are at a stage in the development of the parish of Portmore that it needs its own autonomy, and that is just the reality that we face. Now, Member Jackson is a very important point. Very important point when he spoke about funding. And I think Member Jackson is correct, because he also answered the question that was posed by Member Campbell from Portmore, who is also the Deputy Mayor of Portmore, that parish status means less parochial fund allocation for Portmore. And it's very, Member Campbell, Councillor Campbell, in his comments, stated that parish status means less parochial revenue fund allocation for Portmore.
I'm so sorry. Senator Morris, SG has suggested we link to the PBCJ.
Okay, yes. So in fact, that myth, must be removed, and misinformation. And it's very sad that a ranking member in the municipality of Portmore is not aware of the funding structure, with not only in Portmore but the entire local government system.
I agree with you, Sir Chair, and I was amazed as the Deputy Mayor for Portmore was served as a councillor for over 18 years.
Well, again, we are here to educate as well as listen to
But what to be fair, Sir Chair, in our pronouncements, because the reality is, Member Jackson did mention something a short while ago, right? When Portmore become the 15th parish, from my research and my interviews with citizens, especially from Southeast St. Catherine, I understand that currently now, and I can stand corrected.
Miller, can I ask you to pause a moment, please? Chair, I know you're hearing me, but we are not hearing you. And the meeting is continuing, we're unable to participate. Can I ask you just to have Parliament indicate to us how long it would take to rectify the matter? If it's a matter of a few moments, might I humbly move that the meeting be suspended for a few moments, because it's 4 of us online. Grateful. Thank you, Member Miller.
Let me check with the...
We're hearing you now, Chair. We're hearing you. I'm hearing you.
All right. Thank you very much to the technical team.
Thank you, technical team. Can we just confirm from all the members online that they're hearing Member Daly, Senator Morris, Minister Terry Long?
Member Daly, are you still with us?
I'm hearing now.
Okay, Member Morris. Member Daly, are you still with us? Member Terry Long?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so at least we can confirm that 75% of those persons who are online are with us. And that is why we are a democratic society where statistics determines direction. and policy. Yes.
Can I finish my point, Sir Chair? As I was saying earlier, that with my research that I've done, I've never served as a councillor before, but it's my understanding that the taxes in terms of property, in terms of motor vehicle, that is sent to the St. Catherine Municipal Council, that only a fraction of that is sent back to the Portmore municipality. Now, when Portmore becomes the 15th parish, it's my understanding as well that majority of, especially the motor vehicle registration, comes from Portmore. But yet still, all those resources are not gone back to Portmore. It's my understanding as one of the benefits that when Portmore becomes the 15th parish, that all those resources will remain in Portmore for the development of the infrastructural work. We agree, yes, that central government will play their part, but majority of the road surface, for example, in Southeast St. Catherine, are parochial roads there's only 2 in Southeast St. Catherine that are gazetted, right? There's only 2 in Southeast St. Catherine that are gazetted. So those resources will be used to do more in terms of Portmore itself. So one has to appreciate, the benefit in Portmore becoming a parish where that is concerned. And it's our duty, as you rightly stated, Sir Chair, that we need to educate.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Member Morris.
I recall the National Works Agency in their presentation had indicated that it would take some 15 billion to improve the road infrastructure in Portmore. And they had pointed to a figure when they were asked how much they had received in the last financial year to spend on road infrastructure in Portmore. And I think they had pointed out that it was less than 100 million that was allocated. I stand corrected if the figure is inaccurate there, but those are the figures that I recall. So, when you look at the data that has been presented to us, there are some challenges all around, and Member Jackson had pointed to some of the resource challenges that has been in the works since for a long while, to build up the infrastructure in Portmore, and gaining or granting parish status is not likely to change that in the foreseeable future. And we have to make sure that we temper the expectations. And just one small correction, because I heard Member Terry Long pointing to the Portmore having over 300,000 individuals residing there. The data that has been presented to the committee is pointing to 190,000. Am I correct, Mr. Chair?
Member. Member, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Yes, you're correct, member. It's around that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, members, I believe, we at times are confusing the whole matter of granting parish status and coupling that with a number of other issues. I believe, for example, infrastructure. What is the meaning of parish status? And that's what we need to define. Parish status means autonomy, It's been completing the process that started some time ago when the municipality of Portmore was created. I believe all of us at times try to infuse issues that are secondary to why we are here. You know, we talk about funding. Funding is already in place. Inadequate, yes, but funding is in place through the parochial revenue fund. I believe that the local planning authority needs to be more creative throughout the country, not only in the area that is being considered to be called the 15th Parish of Portmore. And that is where we are. I believe that we have gone through the process of ventilating some of these issues that have come before us. You know, it is time for us now to, just examine what is before us and in a very constructive and progressive manner and make a decision. You know, we are about consultation, and that is the reason why we, today, over the last couple of months, we have been consulting, taking submissions. In fact, the last time in 1867, if you looked at the Act of 1867, that identified the 14 parishes that we now have, it was a simple designation of a particular area as a parish and another area within that boundary as the capital of the parish. You know, I think where we are now as a society, we have gone through the process of, ventilating this issue and consultation with our people. So, you know, members, you know, for example, if you look at the submission from Deputy Mayor Campbell, you know, his argument was that parish status means less parochial revenue fund allocation for Portmore. When the Ministry of Local Government came and indicated to all of us that that is a lie. It is a lie. And that is your propaganda. Let us come with some constructive arguments when we are deliberating. You know, for example, give credit to Member Jackson. You know, at times, you know, not often, but at times, he makes some very valid points as to for us to consider, you know, in this discussion. Right, Member Jackson?
I welcome those complimentary comments, but I think I need protection from the chair and the chairman.
I will protect you from the chair, sir. Members, if you look at the other submission in the Jordan Taylor comment that the parish receives several benefits from this status change, so that person is in agreement. The ministers, Portmore Ministers Fraternal, spoke to there's a major lack in proper and adequate physical infrastructure along with other amenities such as hospitals, courthouse, market, and all the pertinent and essential civil and government agencies. I believe that was answered, and we will communicate with the Ministers Fraternal as well and lend more clarity on that, because in fact, based on the presentations that we got from the different government agencies, we would have addressed that. J.C. Winter agrees. He believes that there will be additional services being centralized within the parish of Portmore. We have a submission from Richard Mendes. Portmore City Municipality status was experimentally temporary, to which the completed parish status is a segment required to complete the process. The 13-pointer criteria required for the building of a city/parish which show that Portmore's infrastructural build-out for a parish has already acclaimed status, at its present and planned state of development. The National Environmental Agency, NEPA, a very critical government agency, especially when it comes to planning and preserve the environment, they agreed with granting the parish status. You'll recall the presentation, extensive presentation by the National Environmental and Planning Agency. For example, they looked at the growth rate of 2% would need for areas of Portmore to be developed. That Portmore has over 2,600 hectares of land zone for commercial, office, resort, light industry, and that can be used to create economic opportunities for persons living within the parish of Portmore. They also looked at building out the tourism product in Portmore in the Elshire area, on the beach and within the hills, looking at ecotourism and heritage tourism, as well as the traditional tourism of sand, sea, and sun. They also see Portmore presented itself as the ideal location for the build-out of technology. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I believe that the residents of Portmore, they possess that unique ability to become innovators of technology. We have quite a highly educated population in Portmore, and I think that we just need to create the opportunity and provide that catalyst for the build-out of that capacity that resides within Portmore. Blondin Morgan submission was in agreement. He stated that from the perspective of population size, the creation of Portmore as a parish could easily be supported. He also spoke about the availability of infrastructure and independence from St. Catherine. He is of the opinion that the proposal for Portmore to be a parish enjoys widespread public support throughout the Portmore area and the country, and that its parish status is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, Vision 2030, and the United Nations position on decentralization, democratization, and enhanced government accountability. Robert Martin disagrees. He said of all the 14 parishes, none is doing well, and they are being poorly managed by local and central management. He is also of the opinion that Portmore does not have infrastructure such as public library. I believe that that person needs to be informed. There are quite a number of public libraries in Portmore. I know for a fact I was a member of the Bridgeport Library. There's one in Greater Portmore. There's one in Waterford. Again, so I use this as an opportunity to inform the public, not only Mr. Martin, that we have quite a bit of supporting amenities within Portmore. I believe that we have not utilized those amenities as we should. But there are museums, galleries, newspapers, and proper transportation system. I welcome the issues raised by Mr. Martin, but I believe that we have he needs to be a little bit more aware of what is there in terms of the libraries, because Member Jackson, I know you were there during the opening of the library in Greater Portmore.
Well, I was not only there, but I also funded through my allocation the equipping of the library with computers, etc.
And that is only one library in your consensus.
Say that branch library is the largest branch library in Jamaica. In fact, it is larger than some parish libraries in Jamaica. And I agree with you, Chairman, that we don't need all of those things for a parish. So, that's done. Those things are not prerequisites for, yes. No, I honestly don't. No. No. I agree with the Chairman on that point. But I also was curious with the last set of by one Blondel Morgan, that the proposal for Portmore to be a parish enjoys widespread public support throughout Portmore area and the country. I'm just curious as to the basis of that assertion.
Member Jackson, we are here, that is the opinion of Mr. Morgan.
No, I was only in much the same way, Chairman, that you gave your opinion on the presentations before us. I was doing no less or no more. I'm just
saying that maybe that is his opinion.
I threw it out.
Yeah, that is his opinion. And again, we do not know Mr. Morgan socializes, whether in his circle, you know. Cornell Smith agrees. Vicky Anson, the naming of parish of Portmore is only the beginning of the next phase of this area's development. The citizens should be granted a more direct role in this process, and this will be greatly enhanced with the parish status. Vivian Mayer disagrees. City designation will be better. How much land would St. Catherine lose with the separation? I believe it will be more how much land Portmore will gain, Member Jackson, with the separation. I anticipate that Portmore will gain additional lands in the establishment of the parish of Portmore.
Well, no, but you know, that's an issue before us now, the whole boundary of Portmore. You have the 2003 boundary, and then you have the 2010 proposed boundary. The 2010 proposed boundary would enlarge the landmass of Portmore currently. You are aware to that. The truth is, when the 2003 boundary was established, it was to facilitate the establishment of the municipality because boundary was a critical element. And the boundary at the time merely ran around where persons were residing. So, for example, Caribbean Estate, right, which you know very well, is not technically a part of Portmore now, though that's where it functions. Because at the time, that area of land was vacant. Nobody was living there. And the 2010 boundary sought to do two things. One, incorporate those areas that are outside the existing boundary that does operate as part of Portmore. And two, to enclose additional open spaces and other communities in anticipation of the growth of Portmore. And two, to create land areas that can serve for the development of Portmore as a municipality at the time. But that is an outstanding issue. It has come here and gone back here, meaning in the Parliament, for different reasons. But that is the current status of it. The boundary now excludes many communities that function as part of Portmore, including like Dunby Walden.
You are correct, Member Jackson, and I had alluded to that earlier, that the boundary of Portmore will have to include areas that currently lies without, outside of the current boundary. And I stated that is the prerogative of the minister. I'm sure you, being a part of the whole process of designation of the boundary in 2003, recognize that that power lies with the minister for him to, in his wisdom, to designate the new area that would best fit the parish of Portmore. So that, I'm sure, once we have completed our deliberation, will be a part of the discussion going forward, because we will have to ensure that we designate a particular area, the boundary for Portmore, in the process.
I hear you, Chair, but the fact is that regardless of whether there's a parish designation, there is, as we speak, a functioning authority with responsibility for Portmore, that is a municipality. And those issues are relevant to its ongoing activities.
Correct.
So
correct.
it is one that should be addressed, irrespective.
No, it will be addressed. It will be addressed, member. In fact, we'll go to a submission from Jack Russell. He disagrees. He believes that the Portmore as a municipality is not being operated at its best, and there needs to be an improvement before consideration can be given to a separation. Former Mayor Keith Hines agrees with boundary changes anticipated with Portmore becoming a parish. This would expand its land mass to other major farming communities development. The additional land space to accommodate the new boundaries will give the emerging parish the ability to create space for a hospital, market, and proper transportation center. Markland Edwards also agrees. As Portmore transitions to parish status, it is critical to find the right synergies and linkages to ensure citizens get the type of service delivery they deserve. Okina Robinson and Trisha Walters agrees. They say classifying Portmore as a parish could lead to a reduction in the crime rate because it will lead to development of a centralized police unit. That is their opinion. There will be greater investment in education, thus creating more opportunities for skills and job training. The separation will have a positive ripple effect on St. Catherine and Kingston. Nesta Tate agrees. It will further help to develop the city in areas such as developing police station with extended services, building a centralized hospital, providing an infirmary to house the homeless, building a park similar to Emancipation Park, which would add to beautification efforts. Lennox Plummer agrees. The separation will allow Portmore to be seen as a municipality. It also reinforces the need for public hospital, police divisions, and additional fire stations within Portmore. Again, there was some level of agreement with this observation by Mr. Plummer, because the JCF spoke about, rearranging the structure in Portmore. The fire brigade, they came here with the Ministry of Local Government, and they spoke about the needs for additional fire station, especially if we could get one in the greater Portmore area. It will improve responsiveness. Yes.
Yes, sir, Chair. And along with that, I can recall ACP Blake came and said if Portmore become a parish, then it will be centralized in terms of the JCF, in terms of their own division in Portmore that will cater to a smaller subset of the community than to expand all the way, taking into Central Village, Old Harbor, etc.
Okay. The Ministry of Justice believe that they're...
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, if we go back to Lennox Plummer's comments, it just triggered something in my mind. While there are no guarantees, I am going back to what the Ministry of Health, what the PS said last week, that it is known that a new hospital is needed for St. Catherine. However, there's no decision as to where it will be. There were talks of Old Harbor, whether we expand Spanish Town, or whether it is in Portmore. The strategist in me is saying, this is a reason to push for parish status. Because if there is a parish status, it's a stronger argument for the hospital that is in question to be placed in Portmore. So I think as a strategy to getting that hospital that Portmore people have been lobbying for, getting the parish status should be, and I don't know, Member Miller, as a representative there, I'm not picking on you, Member Jackson, because you say we pick on you too much, so I'm not calling your name right now, but I'm just saying as a strategy, we should say push for Portmore to become a parish, because also if we remember that when the Ministry of Justice presented, they said once Portmore becomes a parish, they'll need their own court as well. So that's another benefit that will come to the people of Portmore once a parish status have been granted. And so we need to talk about those things, because if you even watch on YouTube on PBCJ where people are asking questions, these are some of the things that they missed from the earlier presentations.
And my colleagues talking about the Ministry of Health and the hospital, it is instructive that both the permanent secretary and the chief medical officer was at pains to indicate that the decision as to the location will not be determined by any particular designation, but rather how it is most optimal to deliver the hospital services needed by the range of population, or the population spread overall in the parish. And for that reason why up to that point, they could not say where. And as was reflected in the minutes, I sought to get from them what are the specific parameters? What are the particular indices that informs a decision that they make in terms of the location? So, in other words, those are the criteria that determines the location.
Absolutely, Member Jackson, I agree with you, but we also have to agree that when you're a big boy versus a little boy, you have more influence. So when you're a parish and you can big up your chest, you have a stronger chance of influencing that process. We know that that's just the reality of life. But many don't have you as a representative that is going to work along with members Terry Long and Miller to make this happen for the people of Portmore. You know, I'm saying, Member Jackson, that I know when we become a parish, if that's what the people decide, that you are going to push because you have a stronger footing on which to stand to lobby for Portmore, because you're a bigger boy when you're a parish.
I'm sure that Member Jackson, being the senior member of Parliament, will help the process along. He is a man I know for development, and this is no joke.
I'm grateful for that remark, and you are also aware that I lobby strongly and strenuously for things regardless of what status that I might have or what my community might hold. And I lobby for them based on the merits, but not on the basis of whether
you have a stronger footing if you're a parish to lobby. Can you disagree with that? Yes or no, Mr. Member Jackson?
My lobby is driven by the people that I represent.
But do you disagree that if you're a parish, you have a stronger footing on which to stand?
I don't buy that.
No, the members,
Mr.
you know,
Chairman.
we have been, just a second, members. Go ahead, Member Terlang.
I love the points made by, is that Member Cam Rodriguez? I'm not seeing her. I'm not
yes,
able to
it is me.
Morning, Senator. Yeah, I completely agree with her. I mean, you know, the truth is that for years, the people of Portmore, you know, they've been advocating, you know, for a hospital, and they've been advocating for many other essential amenities and infrastructure. And with a parish status, I mean, it certainly puts Portmore, it squarely puts Portmore on the map as the 15th parish. And as a parish, it would need these things, you know, including its own hospital. And so I am in complete agreement. I've listened to the recommendations that were made from all the different agencies and the different departments, and even the individuals, you know, from in and about Portmore who've given their recommendation. And Mr. Chairman, the parish status has my complete support. Certainly the residents of East Central St. Catherine, as I indicated earlier, they are all for supporting Portmore becoming a parish and what it means for the development of infrastructure. We're talking about better health systems, better policing, better judiciary. We're talking about a plethora of infrastructural development that can only assist the residents, including financially as well. So I'm all for it. And as a parish, we'd be better able to advocate and to lobby for these things, which includes the hospital as well.
All right, thank you very much, Member Terlang. You know, we have been always asking the question, some person asks the question, why not? But we need to ask the question as well, does it hurt giving Portmore parish status? Is there any negative to attaining parish status?
None, Mr. Chairman.
So members, you know, let us do not pay any credence to that sort of voice coming from Member Jackson. So members, back to the matrix. You know, we will stop here, members, and note where we have stopped. And I want us to now think seriously as to the way forward. You know, Member Jackson raised a point, and I took that into consideration as well. And we have started the process of looking at the matrix as it is. I think now we need to step up the pace a bit and go to the community or town hall meetings / consultations, if we want to call it that. And I'm going to ask the Parliament to seek support from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development in this regard. The NIDS town hall meetings went very well, and I believe we could learn from that experience as well, and see how soon we can put together these at least 2 meetings before the end of this month, 2 community meetings. Members, because we have been on this matter for over 7 months now, almost 7 months, over 7 months, going into the 8th month. And I believe that we need to wrap this up as soon as possible, once you have gone through the deliberations and the consultations. Madam Clerk, let us have consultation with the Ministry of Local Government. We will also need to speak with NIDS to get some insight as to how they were able to do their town hall meeting, and then we will take a decision, members. Members, the date for the next meeting, I believe, will be determined once we have spoken to the Ministry of Local Government as well as NIDS, because, again, depending on where we plan to have that meeting, we have to ensure that adequate infrastructure is there to support the meeting. And bearing in mind as well that the Disaster Risk Management Act is also in place. Again, remember, we have the ability to, based on the resolution that was brought to Parliament, to have these consultations, whether in person, virtual, or hybrid. And that's a decision that we will have to take as well, members, once we get that level of insight and guidance from the Ministry of Local Government, and of course NIDS, OPM. Members, let me thank you for this vibrant discussion today. Member Jackson was on his better behavior, not best, better behavior. Better behavior. But I must commend Member Jackson, though. To be quite honest, he's one that has always fought for development of Portmore. And we don't always see eye to eye, but I must give credit where credit is due. And Member Jackson, as he has served, and still serving. I hope he won't serve for much longer, but he's still serving. And I must say, keep up the good work, Member Jackson. Keep up the good work.
I thought you would wish me well. You were so kind and gracious in your opening remarks. I thought you said I would serve forever.
Member Jackson is a balanced approach. A little of this, a little of that. Members, thank you very much. And let me thank the staff here at the Houses of Parliament for supporting us, representatives of the different agencies in attendance, and members, listen out for the next meeting. Can I have a motion for us to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Member Campbell Rodriguez, seconded by Member Campbell. Meeting stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.